they said, Peters. And I said, his name's Salty? And they said, nah, that's what we call him. That's his nickname. Pete Bliss nicknamed him Salty many years ago. And that's all Gene was called in the Corning area, I can tell you that. But anyway, that's his nickname. And nobody used it up here. I don't know if Pete ever called you that up here. No, he didn't. I don't think so. But anyway.
Nobody knows where he got his nickname.
He had a nickname for everybody.
At least he's not going to tell us, right?
Really, it's hard to start anywhere with Gene. I mean, he really, really has been around many years, and he's been on a lot of projects. I'm going to cover a few of them, and it's just going to be a few. And I'll start with Radome area, because he was Mr. Radome in Irwin and in Chestnut Street. I guess you were hired for Radome, weren't you, Gene, in the 1960s?
Right.
In 1960. He was hired out. You just came out of the Air Force?
Right, Patterson Air Force.
Right, 1960 for Radome. So this is Mr. Radome. So anyway, this is from my memory only, and it doesn't cover everything. Gar 11s, Bullseye, HT3s with all the problems they had with the pitot tubes and skirts, mounting holes. You remember how many mounting holes were in the HT3? How many?
Oh, how many?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
Well,
I
it was
thought
over.
there was at least 20.
Yeah, there was 24, I believe, but I don't not quite remember that, but there was a lot of drilling in the skirt, and that was all done. All those operations were Gene had something to do with, or either designed it or had something to do with it some way. But anyway, Red Eye. Red Eye was a handheld missile, which infrared seeking. Glass was melted at B&C factory. Gene had that project, and some of the problems on that were water content in the glass, the core shell that was mounted on the aft end, the inspection, everything he was involved in on the Red Eye project. All the polishing was done in-house, the mounting, the glue, the leak testing of the dome itself. Gene, do you remember it was a helium leak test. They were using rubber gaskets, and the gaskets absorbed the helium when reusing the gaskets, and everything was failing, and the gaskets were absorbing the helium. Well, Gene had finally figured that out, came out, had everybody cook made our own gaskets, and had to recook them. Anyway, then the Standard Missile, you had to go through a Mother Master program with the aluminum shells, mounting of the aft end, all the asbestos we used. That was brought up into the Canton plant and finally done away with because of the asbestos. All the autoclave work, the IPD work, fortification, all the thermal shock work, all of that was headed up by Gene. Then Phoenix Radio. I can go on and on with that one. Sparrow, the original AMRAMs in 79-80, the prototypes Gene heavily involved in. That's in the radome line. I just now covered radomes. I got a lot more. Hellfire, forgot about Hellfire. Black mat coatings. Pardon?
Forgot about that.
Yeah, black mat coatings. Get into space. Were you involved in the dinosaur team, the X-20? That was a Boeing aircraft that never flew.
That was from Wright Patterson.
That was from Wright Pat. Corning was making the windows for it. Then got into the LEM vehicle, Mercury, Gemini, the LEM lunar module, which is the LEM vehicle. Gene, you got a couple of patents out of that, didn't you, Gene? For his work on the defogging windows for the LEM vehicle. I want to talk about that a little bit. Gene's career was affected a lot in that LEM program. And during that time, which would have been in the 65 to 67 program, somewhere. So not only did he have to be working on all these programs, but he also had to make some defogging windows for a duct blind. And you know, not only do you get pressure from outside, you get pressure from, these are managers within the company pressuring you for duck blind. These are defogging windows to use in a duck blind to shoot ducks. I mean, this is up in the lake. I mean, come on. I mean, you had to stall them. I mean, no manager nowadays, in the environment today, no manager could get away with asking for that within the company. That just wouldn't happen today. But Gene's career was on shaky ground unless he could come up with it. The guy was head of the advanced products department, a guy by the name of Wasson. And so Gene had to come up with that. You know, not only had all these other problems, he had to come up with that. So they worked, did they, Gene?
Yeah, they did. I was afraid they'd drink and shoot the windows
Yeah.
out.
So, I mean, we're talking about serious stuff here. So right in that period of time, let's see, about 70. We had a plant manager by the name of Jerry Young.
Oh, yeah.
Come into the plant and he raised all kind of stuff. He cut people back, and then what's he do? He gets named the head of a project called Project 70, and it's going to be done in Harrisburg. What's Young do? Takes Peters with him.